Welcome to the show, Drew. Today, we're diving into the future of advertising, where brands pay for proof of attention, not just impressions. We'll start by exploring Adett's revolutionary model, then move on to the high-stakes challenges of the two-sided marketplace, and finally, discuss the future of performance-based spending. Drew, for those who don't know you, you're the CEO of Adet, a true disruptor in ad tech. Let's start with your story. What was the moment you realized the traditional impression model was broken? And what made you decide to flip the script by paying customers for their attention?
Yeah, Roman, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Awesome. Really excited to get into it and dive into here. But the impression model was something that I wasn't even familiar with 3 years ago. Did not intend to learn about advertising. My buddy the other day at dinner asked how I knew I wanted to get into advertising, to which I told him I had no idea. I just kind of had to step down the, yellow brick road and see where it took me. But we noticed very early on, we were running an Instagram account that had around 60,000 followers, and brands were coming to us wanting to pay for impressions because we had a ton of followers and we had a user base of following that was presumably college kids. And they were offering, 1 to 2.5, 5 grand just for a couple of videos. And we realized we're like, this is broken. Like they're not going to get the value of whatever the money they think they're spending. And we were trying to sell merchandise to college kids. Like we were like, why are we trying to take money from the most broke individuals, people who are so stingy? And why don't we try and fix a problem that's clearly present? So us starting an apparel business allowed us to really quickly pivot into an attention-based mobile app called Adet, where it's a TikTok style feed of the branded content that the brands would come to us with and want us to pose in front of our following. But they only get charged after a user, a verified user, watches the full video, proves they watch it through a quiz question, and then answer 2 survey questions that whatever the brand wants to know. And so we take away the game of just trying to throw it in front of you to see if that's going to stick, and instead treat attention as it should be, which is a commodity, and try and value every single user's second, time, and attention.
That's such a powerful shift, Drew. Adet is built on the idea that attention is the new currency. Can you explain why traditional metrics, like CPM, CPC, they're failing brands, and how Adet's quiz verification system provides a genuinely high quality signal compared to vanity metrics?
Yeah. I would first like to say that the CPM model, when done efficiently, can be a massive success. When you're able to
Mhm.
get onto a platform like Instagram or TikTok, pay dollars for to get in front of thousands of people, and if you have the right video and target the right people, you might get the reach that you might never otherwise be able to get. And so the impression model is just this massive funnel, if you want to picture it, where the top is as vast as you can possibly imagine. And what we've pretty much envisioned is like, look, not everybody is in that super efficient, I can pay for CPMs and I'm going to get success in there. So let's chop the funnel in half. Let's focus on the engagement and let's really try and hone in on how brands should not just be paying to get on somebody's feed because it's it's an evolving space, right? Like now when you go on Instagram, a post from 4 years ago, you'll see 4 years ago, one ad in every 10 stories. Go on now, and I promise you'll see one ad in every 2 or 3. And that's just because Meta has 5 times the volume. They got to show it to people, and it's a cheap thing. Anybody can go on there and pay to get on people's feeds, which makes it abundant, and it also makes it a little bit oversaturated. So we believe that you got to, if in order to truly get that person's attention in a consenting way, if I may, you got to be able to just pay for that full time, that full attention and that engagement with the quiz question and the survey question. And the user's okay with watching that full video so long as they're getting paid. If I told you to go and flip burgers for a day and I wasn't going to pay you anything, you'd think I was disrespecting you. Why is attention and advertising any different than just our traditional job?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when you first approach a major brand, what is the single biggest frustration or fear that they express about their current digital ad spend? Is it the fear of bot fraud or the lack of reliable attribution that ties the actual ad spend to sales lift.
I think whenever you create something that has a lot of innovation attached to it, you're going to get people who are stuck in their ways and who are super comfortable in what is normal. And I think that that's completely fair and that's totally fine. I do a very similar workout that I've been doing for a long time just because I'm used to it. If someone were to come up to me and they were to say, "Hey, I got this new one that's way better, way more efficient," I would say, "I'm not really in the market for it. What I'm doing, it works. It's fine." Right? It's fine. It's good. Like the evil of great is good. I would never jump from good to go to great. I would if it was bad. If I had no routine, of course I'd jump in there. And so we've noticed that people are just fine with what they're using right now, which is okay. But we realize that there's two options when an advertiser or a brand gets something that's innovative. They either say, "Cool, not for me, wish you the best of luck," or they jump on it and they say, "This is going to give me an edge to my clients, to myself, and to my future clients, which is going to make me have a way better business." And so we've been focusing on solving the chicken and egg through the users first. We have actually 5x our users in the past week from, I believe we had around 400 downloads, and now we're at about 2,000 as this call is occurring, which only came from us changing a couple words in our app store. So when we have more users and more attention, it's like the Instagram account that we ran. You know, brands weren't coming to us because we had 300 followers. They came to us because we had 60,000. We go to a brand when we say, "Hey, we have 60,000 people on our wait list or on our platform." They're going to say, "Cool, what do I sign?"
And what have you found in the users already and the brands that you're courting? Is there a particular like green flag that when you have a chat with them and you think, okay, there's someone who we're interested in working with?
So I think that the number one thing that I've noticed is it's not anything that has to really do with their industry as much as to do with the person. It's hard to get in
Hmm.
the room with the right person in any conversation, but when you do, that's the green flag. When they see my energy and they feel what my co-founder Alec, who, he's light years ahead of me in many regards that have to do with product development, and the way that he articulates himself in some of these calls really allows for some of these brands to say, "Wow, I really love the direction that you guys are heading in. How can I be of use? How can I potentially better my business and my brands and my creatives through your service?" And that green flag comes from willingness to grow. And you've noticed with a lot of people who are, maybe they're just a marketing manager, they are not there to do more, they're there to do enough. You've got to talk to people like yourself or like another founder who are looking to get the extra mile to hit that next big thing. I don't know, maybe it's a gambler's fallacy, but there's just something about being able to just put a little bit in and get a lot out and just doing that constantly, because one of those is going to pay off.
Yeah, and that's actually a really impressive strategy as well. Adet is a two-sided marketplace. Could you elaborate on the biggest operational challenge in maintaining a balance between user supply and advertiser demand?
Yeah. I think that so in our two-sided little dilemma here, we're paying one side and we're getting paid from the other. So you can take a guess as to which side is easier to get. And we've noticed that when we put Addit dash earn money in the App Store, people who search, watch videos, and earn money, they're flocking. We're getting 150 downloads organically a day. And the brands, they're the harder part. When we've talked to people, they say that they love it. This sounds awesome. I'd love to do it. Talk to me when you guys have some more followers, some more users, maybe better targeting, and then I can pull the trigger. They want a more polished product. They don't want to be the like have it be like a proprietary thing for them, where agencies have the opportunity right now. If they wanted to jump on the bid and say, "We want to use you guys exclusively for our brands and we can figure something out if that worked," then we'd be able to come to a decision. Now they can almost grow our product into what they want. But the reality is that the brands are waiting for us to get more users on there because they believe that it's a numbers game, which I agree with. We started at it to be an advertising company. Advertising is about awareness, impressions, top of the funnel. But we realize that we're a market research company just as much, if not more, than we are advertising. But it's not one or the other. I believe, and so does Alec, that market research is a part of advertising, and it should be. You should be able to not just go out there and say, we want to work on our awareness so we can better our conversions. Well, you want to learn more about the awareness. You want to be able to refine it for the future. And these massive conglomerations, the Bud Lights of the world and the betting sites that you see, they're making all of these pushes for different marketing campaigns because they have the bandwidth and the wherewithal to go about it. We're here to try and help out the smaller guys, the mid-sized guys, people that are looking to test, looking to better, and looking to get a little bit of an edge.
That's amazing, Drew. Just a follow-up question. What happens if you have too many users and not enough brands? Or vice versa, you have too many brands and not many users. How does that
Yeah,
impact your business?
great question. Right now, we have too many users and not enough brands, so I'll start with that one. But what we've done is we've prepared for this. We have our nuclear doomsday bunker per se, where we have a wait list built out, and we've capped it at 327 active users. Why that number, I'm not sure, but we have everybody else is in the wait list where they get an email and they come to the screen. There's nothing else they can really do with the app because there's just not enough videos on there. The people that were there at the start, they're able to reap the benefits of the app. The other people, they might come back, they might not, but the reality is that they had the interest at one point. We believe that when we lot them off, they'll have the interest then. But if we were to have too many brands and not enough users, we would not get insights quick enough for those brands. They would look for a place and they would pretty much be saying, we're looking to spend $10,000 and we're only able to spend $500 or $1,000 here. We want to be able to spend more money to more people. Like we want to go somewhere else pretty much. And I would say that to both of those, it's very fair. Users want more videos, brands want more, and then more users and the ability to target those users. And we're going to get there. Rome wasn't built
Hmm.
in a day. We've been launched for
Yeah.
about 9 weeks now. And the growth we've made in those 9 weeks have been exponential. And the next 9 weeks are going to be the exact same, we believe. And I think it's just a matter of attracting those at the right time. And clearly for the users, it's in their path because it's time for us to bolster up our user growth.
Yeah. And hopefully by the time this podcast goes out, you get another 1,000 downloads. You mentioned that Adet needs to outperform Meta, TikTok, and Google to retain advertisers long term. If a brand chooses to maintain the status quo and continue paying for unverified impressions, what is the real quantifiable cost to their business?
I think what they'll notice is if they want to push and they want to handle it with the traditional social advertising digital spend platforms, they might be able to figure it out over time. But what we're trying to accomplish here is we're obviously attacking this as a direct competitor to those in the advertising space. But I think there's utility here for not just like a one size fits all approach where the interesting thing about a driver for Uber versus a brand on Adit is one is positive sum and the other is zero sum. A driver on Uber can't drive for Uber and Lyft at the same time. They can't be in two places at once. It's impossible. I've yet to see somebody be able to do that. But brands can post on Instagram, TikTok, Adit. They can do print, they can do TV. I don't care where else they go. We're not trying to say, your $100,000 of ad spend should all come to Adit. We're saying
Hmm.
some of that could definitely be allocated to testing grounds, market research, advertising baked into these survey questions to where if I were to ask you three random questions about a smoothie shop down the road, you don't know who they are, what they represent, what their brand is. You might not even know that they're a smoothie shop. They're going to ask you how often you get smoothies, what flavors you like, and whatever. But after you watch an ad of theirs, you get in their headspace of, oh, this is what the smoothie shop represents. This is the ones they look like. Oh, that purple one looks pretty good. And now you answer those questions. You tell me, you be the judge, which answers you think you're going to have a little bit more meaning. I would take the latter, and I think a lot of brands would too. I just don't think they've ever been exposed to something that's actually able to do that.
Yeah. And there's just a follow-up question as well. What kind of competitive disadvantage are they risking, like businesses are risking by not moving to a verified attention model?
I think that it's something that every brand should try because the idea of a verified attention model is just, it's apples to oranges to the impression model.
Hmm.
It's not something that you're like, oh, well, we put 1,000 there and 1,000 here. What are the conversion and click through rates like? Well, I mean, you will be able to compare it, and some might be better. Maybe the verified one's better than the compression model. But the reality is that it's just different, right? If I were to tell you that could only eat carbs and you can't eat any sugars, any fruit, only vegetables. Like, there's place for vegetables and fruit to be in your palate. I promise you. It's not like you have to just go all in on one. Now, I get it. There's bandwidth approaches and there's familiarity, and it's hard to get people to break out of their norm. However, I think that it's really essential to have an innovative approach if you're trying to grow your company, especially in 2026 coming up. I mean, AI is a bubble that's about to burst. Everyone's got a company that's trying to solve some problem. So I'm always looking for an edge. I mean, you sent me an email to be on a podcast. What am I going to do? Say no to that? I at least want to hear you out. We take a call. I like what you said. I think it's going to be a benefit to both you and for me. And so what do? We're talking right now at 1:18 Eastern Standard. I don't even know what time it is there in Sydney. Is it 6:18?
5
5:18 AM and tomorrow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It is. It is. So another thing, Drew, is like where money is rewarded, unfortunately, fraud attempts to follow. What is the biggest operational or technological constraint that Adet faces right now in scaling the anti-fraud infrastructure?
So we use Stripe for our payouts and our
Hmm.
payments, as well as our identity. It's some barrier that users are forced into doing if they want to enter the platform. Where when you enter a betting site in the US, you have to put your social security number in, or at least the last 4 digits. You have to prove that you're a real person. And we agreed that maybe social security is a little much, but an ID scan and a facial scan is something that's a little bit more familiar. So that's what we do. Has that been a 100% positive? No. I have a lot of people say, I don't want to scan my face. I look ugly right now. Or where is this data going? Or I don't want to trust this. Who's holding on to my ID? It's not us. That's why we could never have made Addit 10 years ago. We're
Yeah,
allowed to outsource our identity verification and our payments, which are the hardest things for this platform. Ensure compliance as well as make sure nobody tries to fraud the system. And so far, so good in terms of the payments and the identity verification. We have a protocol on how we flag people when we notice duplicate IDs, duplicate entries of emails, duplicate facial scans. And we have a bed of people. They're in the pit of misery, as I call it, in our little admin dashboard that we can see everyone that's tried to game the system, to get in there, to watch the same video twice and to earn double. We've thought about that and we put that in place. But then again, every single day provides something new. So we could have a problem that with identity verification or with compliance tomorrow. But for now, it's been a-okay.
amazing. Great to hear. Has there ever been a complexity in staying compliant with the evolving regulatory laws and around rewards and taxation?
So we were able to meet with a very good tax lawyer beforehand. And a cool thing about the US compared to Europe right now is I believe it's GDPR, which has to do with compliance with data. And America, for better or for worse, is far more lenient and less strict with how companies go about tracking data, which allowed us to cast a wider net and be able to, not need to refine it as much as we'd have to. Where, if you want to start a cannabis business now, you're able to, like, you got to, the compliance for that is ridiculous. It's a bureaucratic nightmare. But for Addit, it was less so because data's less taboo in the States. People kind of realize that their data is being sucked out of them through TikTok and through Instagram, and they're okay with it just because they're like, I don't know. I guess it's a normal thing. But we've been able to understand who can make money, who has to, like what we kind of have to disclose. And, we were able to tidy that up through a very nice privacy policy. We have two privacy policies, two terms and conditions, one for the users, one for the advertisers. And, all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted.
Nice. Amazing, Drew. And looking ahead, Adet is perfectly aligned with the shift towards performance-based spend. What's the one thing that has to go right for Adet to hit its biggest goals in 2026?
Great question, because when I think about biggest goals, we're thinking about creating a, Bezos calls it a pinwheel, where kind of everything's able to work in tandem and just kind of keeps going through momentum. Because right now we have a very clear momentum falling with our user growth. And the
Hmm.
advertisers, the brands, and the people looking to gather a little bit more insight for their company, for their creatives, that's a little bit trickier. We would love to be able to solve a problem that brands are facing. I think that comes. I predict that this would come from a specific agency seeing an opportunity, using us, and then helping us evolve and refine the platform to what they want, which in tandem will solve that same problem for adjacent agencies and other brands, because it's not a zero sum game. People are going to watch videos regardless, whether it's about a competing product or not. And competition brings out the best in capitalism. I mean, that's why prices are lower and that's why products get better. And so I really see us being able to have a good partnership with a nice agency. Look, I'm always looking to help people out in that business regard. So I would say that for 2026, it's to just continue bettering the product, really solve a problem, and then focus on that. After you go 0 to 1, you have to figure out how to go 1 to N. And, let's focus on how to go 1 to N in 2026.
Yeah. And it seems like you were the perfect person to spearhead at it there, and along with your co-founder Alec. What would you say is the biggest constraint at it would have right now?
I would say that our biggest limiting factor would be the fact that our users are not at the same level in terms of volume that brands would potentially want. And now look, like we envision ourselves to have a very refined algorithm to show your product, show your video to the people that you want to see, 18 to 24-year-old, 80% boys, 20% females, refine that further, refine geolocating, be able to have their added balance, spend on their product so that it's, a house money effect. And we had somebody tell me last Wednesday, this woman worked in the paid digital space, and she was like, why would I want to pay people to watch videos that have little purchasing power? She pretty much used it because, like, presumably speaking, the average user that's coming to a platform to earn at a rate of 1 cent per second, you're presumably saying that these people are in need and they're looking to earn money, which is fair to assume. But then I believe, and I said this to her, and I don't know how much it stuck. You're giving people who've never had purchasing power by giving them money to put into their bank account and have in their wallet. Crazy things happen when you give people a new experience. A dopamine hit of gaining money towards an ad, it's a little bit of a job. It's like making your bed in the morning. You get that you feel good about doing it because you're not just sitting there wasting your time, you're actually making money while doing so. And so I'd say our limiting factor is just having, only 350 active users because we don't have enough videos, but it's just a volume game. We're really looking to get more users, more videos, and more brands. And then I think that once it's at that point, all it needs is a little push, and then gravity will let it lay its course.
What's something that we need to talk about that we haven't talked about yet?
I would say we've touched on this, but this idea where attention goes, money flows is something that is at the root of why we created Addit. And I think that a lot of other companies focus on when they start, or when an entrepreneur is about to develop a new idea, they think, it's so easy it's so hard to build a product, like that's the easy part, is to make something that is just exists, making a new pen or creating a new packaging for a water bottle. Like that part isn't hard. Anybody can go and do that. It's the fact that getting people to know about what you just did is by far and none the hardest thing you'll do. I mean, it took us about 20 months plus, 21 months to get at it from idea to the app store. And sure, that first 21 months were very difficult, but I mean, we're focusing on how to build a product and the compliance nature and timing and just building an app. whatever you think the time is, triple it, It's just gonna be longer. That's the reality. And we're realizing now that we built something on the foundation that it markets itself. You get to watch videos and make money. That spreads like wildfire. We have a software-based referral strategy where people can triple their earning rate for life by referring to friends with their referral code. All of a sudden, you're making these people, you're incentivizing them to make more money by marketing for you because attention is a commodity that has to be baked into whatever you do. The product has to be so good. If that new restaurant opens up down the street, it's got to be so good that you know that when somebody dines there, they're saying to their friends on a walk or to their family members, we got to go back. You got to go there on a date. It's so good. Word of mouth exists for a reason because is powerful. If somebody told me to go download Adet, it's different than me seeing it, right? Like it's my decision versus someone else's suggestion. Someone else took the time and their breath to say, this thing is great. I think you should use it. Maybe they're also getting a piece of the pie. They're able to triple their money. But I think that that is a huge thing, a huge fault that people don't realize. And it's the foundation of what we created.
Amazing, Drew. Thank you so much for your time today. It was incredibly insightful to learn about Adit's unique approach to verified attention, the challenges of the marketplace balance, and the future of the first party data collection. It's been incredibly enlightening to learn from you. I can't wait to see the heights that Adit reaches next year, and I'd love to catch up sometime in the future and discuss your exponential success.
Thanks, Ruman. I really appreciate you having me on.
No problem. Thank you.